Well, good afternoon and welcome to the avocado orchard, which is becoming quite a hive of, I don't know if hive's the right word, but a place for natural fauna to gather. You can see in the centre of the screen there's a rabbit or a hare down the end there, and a couple of magpies. And this morning I found myself entangled with about a 9-foot carpet python, which was my own fault as I tried to pick it out of the bushes near the house. He's been a regular visitor for a little while, and I've had to remove him. That's the second time I had to remove him. I had to remove him about 2 weeks ago. And he found his way back, that he likes to go into the little store beside the house and wrap himself around the kettle. Girls have the kettle on several times a day and it's always warm. Pythons like to keep warm, but girls don't like pythons, as it turns out. Anyway, that's the dream for you. Always seems to be something going on, but nothing actually ever happening. The temptation is to want to give what seems to be going on a meaning and judge it. And then, of course, as soon as you do that, you get the results of your own thinking, which is implicit in the judgment, because you're buying automatically into the perpetuation of the thought system that judgment defines, which is the thought system of death, predicated on duality, on opposites, good and bad, and right and wrong, and better and worse, and should and shouldn't, all of that sort of thing. As you learn to use the situations that show up, and when I say use them, I mean process them properly for your healing, rather than react to them without stepping back, you'll quickly come to realise that it doesn't matter what the situation seems to be, it's always false. The nature or the form of the equation that you seem to be presented with in the orchard or in your workplace or wherever it is doesn't matter at all. It's just symbols that you can understand. It's just symbols that make sense to you. If your transformation didn't make any sense to you, then it wouldn't be exactly helpful. You wouldn't be able to witness to any kind of change. So the universe gives you symbols and situations and people and events and things that are tangibly recognizable, so that you can see where you are at in your own relationship with these things, compared to where you're attempting to get to in the journey of your soul, as far as the purification of your mind goes, or the healing of your mind goes. So everything is a relationship, absolutely everything. Everything in the physical world is a relationship that I have with God. If I forget that I'm in a relationship with God, I'm going to be tempted to think that I'm in a relationship with people, situations and events. And I'll get the results of that thinking. But there is only two ways to see the world: through the eyes of love or through the eyes of fear. Fear brings confusion and pain and suffering and all of the things like that. And through the eyes of love, of course, comes simply acceptance and peace and little bunny rabbits in the field and things like that. The witnesses to each way of seeing show up as reflections of your own state of mind. So if there is anything in your own state of mind that's unhealed, or anything in your own state of mind that is requiring forgiveness, let's say, for your own benefit, then you won't be able to avoid it. You can deny it. You can try to pretend that you can take your finger off your own nose and point to somebody else, and all of this sort of thing. But hopefully by now, as you're reading through the Course in Miracles and doing the lessons and watching these videos and other things, you're beginning to realize that keeping your finger on your own nose is a really good idea. Learning to keep my finger on my nose, to step back from what I think is going on and ask myself the difficult question, where is this really occurring? It's in my mind. It doesn't matter what it looks like. The simple principle of all transformation is this: don't judge the form, apply the principle. And if you're doing these lessons correctly, if you're putting your full effort and your full heart and soul into this correctly, you should be heading into rough water. You should be heading into fear and not away from it, which is a good thing. You want to be finding fear within yourself. You want to be finding that agitation and that dislodgement. That's the whole point of this. It's not about being comfortable and being a nice spiritual identity. The spiritual identity of the association that thinks it is the body is no different to the physical identity that thinks it is the body. It's the same thing, but adopting a different way of seeing results in different effects, results in different outcomes. And peace is the goal that we've chosen. Inner peace, perfect inner peace for ourselves and then for our world. Perfect self-love for ourselves and then for our world. And the idea of self-love, it's like, well, if you haven't yet had an experience outside the body, beyond the body, you don't know what love is. You have no idea. You just make it up as you go along. And so you have to live in faith. I'm going to take it on faith that this is an exercise in learning to love myself, and the more that I don't like it, the more it's showing me how much work there is to do and how much I actually don't love myself. And not everybody likes to look at that. Not everybody really wants a journey into fear. But at some point, in some incarnation, in one lifetime or another, you made the confrontation with the false self and made the correct choice for the true self, for the higher self in that place. And it's an emotional place. All thoughts have meaning, and that meaning transpires in the physical realm as emotional states of mind, emotional upsets, emotional whatever it is, even the yummy emotions that you think are yummy and good and you like them a lot, the ones you call love, but love in limitation, of course. But it doesn't take too long to realize that seeking after those kinds of emotional experiences in the world only bring along with them their opposite, because everything here is dualistic, everything has yin and yang, and you can't have one without the other in the dream, because your mind is whole, your mind is a complete, and those things that you lust after or yearn after or want or desire are only the opposites or the other half of the things that you are revulsed by or repelled by and don't want, etc. But you can't have one without the other. You can try to keep the other at bay for as long as you can, but eventually the flow of the universe overcomes you and you end up having a heart attack or a mental conniption or something. Find yourself in the next incarnation and you're back to do it all again from square one. It's the experience. It's the experience that changes you. Whether that experience as, let's say, a shift in consciousness, which is not just a conceptual shift. It's not a perceptual shift at all. A shift in consciousness is where you go to bed one day as one person and wake up the next day as a recognizably very different person. And those shifts in consciousness occur through an accumulation of transitional or miraculous or healed moments that pile up on the scales of your consciousness and start to, let's say, lift the other scale, lift the other end. At the moment, when you first come into this business of transformation, or the science of transformation, the scales are completely loaded down on the side of denial. And it takes a fair chunk of effort looking at, let's say, a smaller version of the scale with an individual relationship, which might only be representative 2 pounds of the 10-pound scale, and you put that 2 pounds on a smaller scale and you become determined to move that 2 pounds. So you find yourself putting in 2 pounds worth of effort into prayer and into honesty and into firstly realizing that you're full of shit, to move that scale. And you have a little shift in that particular relationship, which then naturally, like dominoes, transpires to all relationships that carry the same energetic signature. And you'll find plenty of them. Probably throughout your life you've been walking around going, not this again, or not this same shit different day again, and why are all my relationships or jobs all the same kinds of crap? Why does this keep happening to me? All of those instances, all of those relationships, all of those bracketed kind of recognizable totems of that cycle all get healed. But it takes a little bit of time, of course, in time and space. That's what time is for you to be able to recognize it. It's like pushing down the first domino on a very long dominoes run, and you have to wait a minute for the last domino to fall. In time and space, waiting for that minute usually looks about 3 or 4 days, but usually 3 days. And I don't really know why that is. My teacher used to say that, and I've always found it to be fairly correct for me, that whenever you have a shift, you may recognize the shift, but being able to witness to the effects of that shift usually takes a minute. So, learning to step back, learning to abide in the Holy Spirit, learning not to judge. All of these things all come together, work together, but they don't do anything unless you want them to. And this is a point of realizing, a point of realization, where you might find that you've been doing all this supposed work on yourself, and then all of a sudden in the crucial moment it all falls to shit and nothing happens, and you realize that all that work you think that you've been doing, really isn't anything. Got my little friend here, he's come to wherever he is. There he is, very close. Oh, hello, you're coming right up. Very nice to see you. Goodness me, you're very brave today. You come to listen. Really? Okay. All right. There you go, I just got told. I love you, thank you very much, he said. It's funny when you realise that everything is just God presenting itself in form, that it doesn't matter what's spoken, everything is really just the universe telling you that you are loved and that you are loving. It is the natural language of all things. It's either that or it's asking for help, and that would only ever be my own projection onto the situation. So learning to abide with the Holy Spirit. The amount of people, and I can keep my finger on my nose for this one as well, because this is what I'm about to tell you is true for me as it is for anyone. The amount of people, including myself, that at any given point I would have sworn black and blue that I was abiding in the Spirit, only to be proven false. I've lost count. And there's no point in being judgmental on yourself or others for that. It's like, well, that's the human condition, is forgetfulness. So you've got to expect that along the way. It's like, oh, damn it. Which is why, as I say in many of my videos, it's important to start your day properly, before your feet hit the floor, before you get out of bed. Father, help me to abide within your grace today. Whatever it is to you, whatever your prayer is, whatever your heartfelt call to your Creator is, don't forget about it. And it's easy. Familiarity breeds contempt. You know, you can become quite complacent with the idea that you've been studying a particular text or a particular practice for a long time, but without an experience, that means nothing. It just means that you're dragging your feet, that you're actually not doing the work. Doing the work is living in faith. That's it. Very simply, doing the work is living in faith. Unless a man lives by faith alone, he shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven is simply a state of mind, a very peaceful state of mind, an abiding state of mind, where the actual, in this world, the actual synergy or the actual organics of it, if that's a way to describe it, is this kind of very subtle realization that everything's always perfect all the time, and that you're connected to everything, and that everything's always blessing you, even if it is a funny little magpie in an orchard. That invitation to the Holy Spirit is crucial. I remember when I climbed Mount Warning, part of that whole deal for me going on up there was an invitation to Jesus, which is the same thing as the invitation to the Holy Spirit. I mean, Jesus is just the symbol of the Holy Spirit. Jesus is just the manifestation or the identity given to a particular man who is totally affiliated with God in form, let's say, through the Holy Spirit. And even himself said, when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, which is the Spirit of holiness, the Spirit of God, then you will understand, not before. Doesn't matter how long you followed Jesus for, how much you listen. That's why he sent the disciples out. You have to go out and teach this. You have to be about your Father's business, whatever that looks like, whatever it takes, whatever your heart is telling you to do it. Just because you've got a job and a house and a mortgage and everything, this is your salvation we're talking about. This is where you've got to put it all on the line, risk everything. And it's not even a risk if you can see it in faith. It's like, I'm doing this, it's my time. You can't get to the bardo and try to explain to people that you had bills to pay. There's no excuse. It's all or nothing. You're either in or you're out. Be hot or cold, in or out, but don't be lukewarm. If I have 1,000 people listening to this video, listening to this thing, maybe one of you will follow your heart in that regard. Maybe. Jesus said 2 in 10,000 will hear this. I like to think that with the work that everyone's been putting in to raise up consciousness to a level where we can begin to understand and integrate concepts and principles of this kind, that maybe the numbers are better nowadays. Crunch the numbers again, maybe it's 1,000 in 10,000. I don't know. I just got told it's more likely 500 in 10,000. So there you go, we're doing pretty well. 500 in 10,000. Good. I hear some pretty juicy stuff sometimes, and it comes through like hearing it, abiding with the Spirit and hearing stuff, and sometimes it gets a little cocked up and a little bit misinterpreted, and which is usually when I hear things, when I have a direct listening or a direct hearing. It's usually just a few simple words that I guess they know that I can't muck it up. It's a bit like Chinese whispers, which always makes me wonder how clairvoyants and people like that are able to tune in and listen for so long and get it so clearly and so accurately, which is probably just why so many of them also don't. I'm getting a name beginning with M. Beginning with M. Is it Martha? Martha, Mary, all these sorts of things. I don't really go in for that side of things. It's all a bit humorous to me now, but I do remember that there was a definite clairvoyant period in my awakening where I just knew things that there was no way I could have known. But throughout, there has still been this abiding with the spirit that has brought to me in times of need in a direction that has been beneficial not only to myself but to others that may have been concerned in the facts of the hearing, the listening. Anyway, just a short one today. I'm sure that'll be helpful to someone somewhere. I thought I'd try making this video because I've just worked out after several visits to the Apple store how to delete deleted technology, deleted photos and videos off my phone, which has been chewing up all my storage and preventing me from making videos on my phone. I'm still going to do some stuff with the GoPro. I'm kind of keen to see how that pans out. But for now, I think I'll be putting that on my motorcycle helmet, and I might do some nice country rides around here with teachings accompanied, perhaps. I don't really know. All right, well, I guess to leave you with something juicy is this little tidbit. Deny the denial, but don't deny that you're in denial. Okay, deny the denial, but don't deny that you're in denial. The reason that the world still seems to exist in physical form, the reason that learning, teaching and learning, and the nature of relationships still seems to present itself is because of denial. As you learn to use what's being presented, no matter what it looks like, you'll become more proficient at stepping back and listening for guidance that is not of your own thinking, not of your own making. And that guidance will perfectly orchestrate to you, for you, through you, etc., what it is that is required to get you to the next level, the next shift, the next point in your journey to being revelation ready. It's always going to be a miracle. It's always going to take a miracle. You are learning to become miracle minded. Don't beat yourself up for your failings in learning. That's natural. It's natural. Everybody does it, me included. And I had somebody say to me the other day, it wasn't the other day, it was a few weeks ago now, I read a comment, something along the lines of, dude, I thought you were more advanced than that, you know, that you had a job and all of this sort of stuff, and, you know, I didn't think you were just like us, just like normal folks. And well, I am. I'm just normal folks that had a very paranormal or a very extra normal experience, many experiences now. But in the world, I'm the same. I'm not separate. I'm not better or worse or anything. So I don't actually have a job. I just go from day to day. I did have a job, apparently, if I delve into my past. But I walked out on that and just left that business that I ran for 20-something years to my friend, said ta-da, and walked out the door. Which at the time felt kind of miraculous and wonderful, but now it doesn't feel like anything. It Just another stage, just another step. And just trust that God's got your back. The universe has my back. My Creator has my back. God pays the bills. Jesus pays the bills. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm there by the grace of God to represent Him who sent me. That's about it. I don't think I can make it any easier. Deny the denial. There is no world. But don't deny you're in denial. I seem to think there's a world. Now, either God's true about that or I'm true about that, one or the other. And I'm pretty damn sure I'm fed up with me being true about anything in this world about now. I just want to dump the whole lot. I'm speaking in the collective we. Just want to dump the whole lot and be at peace, be happy, be free, be in that state that I am. I am that I am, Popeye the Sailor Man. I love you guys. Peace.